The fastest bike for a triathlon is a triathlon bike, like one of these. But these aren't cheap. So the most practical and affordable solution for most people is to convert a road bike into a triathlon machine like this. We're here today to show you how to do it yourself with our DIY road bike into a tri bike. Firstly, why a tri bike at all? What is so different to a road bike? Well, briefly, a road bike is designed for riding in a peloton, draft legal, and maybe even with a support car if you're lucky. A tri bike, on the other hand, is designed for riding solo, a long distance, non-drafting triathlon. Briefly, what this means is that a tri bike has aerodynamics as its priority, and a tri bike also allows a rider into a more aerodynamic position. The tri bike also has integrated storage solutions so that you can take all those spares with you without using your pockets. And tri bike has hydration solutions which allow you to drink without leaving that all-important aerodynamic position. So how then do you achieve all of this? Using your road bike. Alright, before we start, just a reminder, hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying our videos, and don't forget to subscribe to GTN so you don't miss any of our triathlon content. Right, so how do we convert this road bike into a triathlon bike? Well, you're going to start with these clip-on aero bars, which are going to attach on here and give you a whole new rider position. Your road bike comes with drop bars, which give you a more aerodynamic position if you go down into the drops than it does if you're on the hoods. But if you go down with your elbows onto the top tube and your hands out in front of you, you are more aerodynamic still. And these allow you to do just that. It's worth pointing out that when you're down in your new aero bars, you can't reach either your shifters or, crucially, your brakes. So they are very strictly only for non-drafting events. Clip-on aero bars come in a variety of shapes and sizes and budgets, and generally they have adapters that fit on most base bars for road bikes. But if you do have some fancy carbon aero profile handlebars, then you may find that the only bars that clip on that can fit on yours are direct from the manufacturer of your original handlebar. However, there are a wide variety out there, and generally they come from very cheap aluminium design all the way through to very fancy carbon and even shaped carbon designs, and really it depends on your budget. And then what you also need to consider is the adjustability of it. Most of them have some adjustability built in. You can move the pads in or out, forward and back, and you can also move the extensions forward and back. But not all of them have the same adjustability, and it's worthwhile taking note of how much adjustability the ones you're going to buy have before you buy, because more adjustability is definitely better when you want to convert from your road bike into your tri bike and find that perfect position. You can also upgrade the elbow pads to something more comfortable, such as gel pads, so that you're as comfortable as possible in that aero position. Now, it's tempting when you first put your aero bars on to just hop on your bike and go ride with them on, as they are, because they do immediately look slick and you think, well, I'll be more aerodynamic because in the same position and just go down with onto my elbows. It'll be great. But the reality is, if you want to get more power and be as aerodynamic as possible and be as comfortable as possible, you need to adjust your position to suit those aero bars so that you can use them to their best ability. Now, that means changing your position, and that means starting with your saddle. So for a road bike to a tri bike conversion, what you want to do is bring your saddle more forward. So you can slide it forward on the rails. You can also get a different seat post. These goosenecks go the other direction, that kind of thing, so really bring you forward. The other thing you can also do is actually change your saddle to something completely different and designed more for triathlon, as you can see on this one. Because on a road bike, you're going to be sitting back here on your sit bones. On a tri bike, you're going to rotate your body forward and you'll be sitting more forward on the saddle. So they have more cushioning in the front and a little bit more forgiving and comfortable for you to sit further forward, and also to be more comfortable sitting on a slightly different part of your anatomy. So I'm not going to change this saddle right here, right now, but I am going to bring it forward. And when you bring it forward, what you're also going to have to do is when your saddle comes forward, you have to bring it up, because essentially the distance between the bottom bracket and the saddle where you're going to sit has now reduced when you brought it forward. So we slide it forward on the rails, and then I'm going to have to adjust here and lift it up a little bit to keep the optimal power position. Get my tape measure. So that forward adjustment has cost me nearly half a centimeter. Once you have your saddle forward and up, you can now adjust the front end to get yourself as aerodynamic as possible and as low as possible, but also maintaining some comfort. There's no point being super aerodynamic and as low as possible if you can't hold that position, because then when it comes to a race, you'll simply sit up and lose any aerodynamic advantage. Also, you need to make sure that it's a powerful position, because there's no point being aero AF if you just can't produce any power in that position. Now, it's unlikely that your road bike will ever let you get as aggressive as your tri bike, simply because the seat tube angle won't let you get as far forward as an aggressive time trial bike will, and also the head tube size is going to be a lot higher, so you probably won't be able to get as low as you'll be able to on a dedicated time trial machine, but you can get pretty close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip these spacers and put them above there so that can drop down. And then what you can do, if you drop that down and you want to play with your position a little bit, you also get spacers that can either go under the aero bar pads, such as this, or you get spacers that go under the whole extension and pad, such as this, which go underneath there and lift that thing up without changing the height of your handlebars. But right now, all I'm going to do is drop this so I'm a bit lower in the front end, and then we'll adjust the reach a little bit, the forward and back position. So let's do that. Okay, once you've lowered that and you feel like it's now time to test your position, you can hop on the bike and test how it feels. Now, you probably shouldn't do it in jeans like I am. You should do it in your full kit. But you want to play with that arm position to get it as comfortable as possible. If you want to go lower, you can. What you can do is buy a new steeper angle stem. This stem that I've got on here is plus or minus 6 degrees. So it's minus 6 degrees. If you flip it, it'll be plus 6 degrees. You do get much steeper ones that will get you a lot lower if you need to, without actually lowering this point. If you do that, obviously that takes a little bit more to adjust, but it will get you significantly lower. Once you've done that, you then want to get your arms in the right position. Now, if you're too close in, your knees will hit your elbow when you're pedaling hard. So you don't want to be too close in. You also don't want to be too far out, because if you're too far out, your weight will not be supported by your elbows. You'll have a bridge here that will make it pressure on your upper body muscles to hold you there, and you don't want that. You want your elbows to be nearly 90 degrees so that they're holding your whole body weight without any effort, without really working. They're holding your body weight. Now, once you're in that 90 degrees, you want the elbow pads to be just in front of your elbow, not too far in front of your elbow, and you want your hands to be resting comfortably on the end of these bars. Now, as you can see, neither of those are in that right position for me right now, so I need to bring these pads back and the extensions forward, and I'll be closer to my ideal position. Once you have your aero position optimized on your road bike, you then want to think about other factors for a fast triathlon, such as hydrating on the go and where you store your spares and your nutrition. Now, a dedicated triathlon bike will generally have these built in, such as between the arms hydration solution or a behind the saddle bottle cage mount. But for your road bike, you're probably going to have to look for an aftermarket solution for this. But these do exist. For example, behind your saddle, you can get something like this. It clamps onto the seat rails, and this one holds a single bottle. You also get ones that hold 2 bottles or even 3 bottles behind your saddle. So you can move the bottles from on your frame to behind your saddle. And then you want to look at something between the arms so that you can hydrate on your go without leaving that aero position. Something such as this. And these also often offer refueling on the go, so you can refill them as you go in, so you never have to leave that aero position, and you can be as aero as possible. Let's get these installed onto this bike. If you do want to keep your bottles on the frame, there are options that are more aero than a big round bottle like that. Something like this, an aero bottle with the cage attached that you can attach on there, and it'll be more aerodynamic when you're trying to cheat the wind. But I'd suggest you go behind the saddle and between the arms and get rid of those on the frame entirely. A final consideration for your long distance triathlon is nutrition and spares. For a long distance triathlon, you want to carry a significant amount of nutrition. Now, you could stuff your pockets in T1, but this risks dropping stuff both in T1 and along the way, and it also wastes time in T1. So generally, a better solution is to have it already mounted on your bike. One of the best solutions for this is a top tube mounted bento box. You can get some which actually have mounts on the frame. Some bikes have mounts on the frame. This one in particular does. Others, you simply get the bento boxes that strap on with Velcro straps. It is a lot neater solution than the old tape the gels to your top tube solution. And then the other thing you want to think about is spares, in case you have a puncture or some kind of mechanical. Now, this is also true of a cycle race, of course. Not many people do have a team car following them. But the thing with a cycle race is you can quite easily store most of your spares in your jersey pockets. Whereas in a triathlon, storing your spares in a tri-suit is a little bit more difficult, not to mention the fact that you've got to swim before and run after. So a better solution is to have them again mounted somewhere on the bike. Now, if you have installed one of these behind the saddles systems, often they have spares storage also built into them, or you can use a bottle that carries your spares on the back there in the back one if you don't need it for hydration. Similarly, you can get a spares bottle, which is basically the same size as a normal bottle, and put it on one of those frame positions, obviously a little bit less aerodynamic. Ideally, you would have it under your saddle in a saddlebag or something similar, wherever you store it, as out of the wind as possible, but I would suggest it's on the bike somewhere rather than stuffing your pockets and potentially dropping it or forgetting it. And there you have it, a road bike converted to a triathlon bike. Now, you could go a few steps further. You can put some deep section carbon wheels on, you can put a power meter on it. You can also completely change the front end, get rid of all of these bars and put a proper triathlon base bar on with aero extensions. You'll then need TT brake levers and you'll need bar end shifters. But if you're going to go that far, you're probably better off getting a full tri bike, because you will then no longer be able to use that road bike for any road races or anything that is draft legal again, so you'll get a better position in a full tri bike. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let us know if it's helped you. If it has, give us a thumbs up and comment on, let us know if we missed anything or something that you've done to your road bike conversion to make it as fast as possible. We'd love to hear from you in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching and happy racing.